Good evening, everybody. Good evening, good evening, good evening. How's everybody doing tonight? It is your boy. We are your boy Doc Holiday. We are back live in the dungeon tonight. This is HBCU Tonight, episode 12. If you haven't done it by now, make sure that you like this stream. Make sure that you comment, share, most of all, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell to get everything HBCU OverDrive and see who we got up in here today. As far as this as is, it's the usual. Mr. Quay, how you doing? How you doing? Make sure we get everybody informed on everything. Dragon 1998, how you doing today? Even though he's a Blazer, son plays at Jackson State in the band. B Rob, as always, what's good, family? What's good, everybody? See, can we get this little link up in here so we get this little round table going? I know I said I was gonna come on yesterday, but I was tired yesterday. I was tired. I was asleep most of the day. I'm still trying to get over the weekend, but through it all, I was pretty much, resting. Got my guy Blue up in the house. What's good? You got Miss May. How you doing? Oh man, thank you for plugging it in, player. Thank you for plugging it in. Thank you. And I know today's topic is gonna be real good, interesting because of the simple fact that uh I don't have a list. I'm not doing the top 10. I didn't want to do it like that because I didn't want to I didn't want to stir no controversy. No controversy at all. Not today. Not today. Maybe tomorrow. Not today. And always make sure that you like, share, subscribe, and comment. Yes, ma'am. Let them know. Let them know. Let me know. Let's see what we got. Let's see. Let's see what we got right here. Got 22 in the building. See what's up on Jeff Lightsey. Yeah, I want to get. I look. I'm not about to get roasted on Twitter. I'm not about to get flamed on Twitter. So, I'm pretty much I'm pretty much gonna be 100 with it. So we're just gonna pretty much name most of the all time HBCU football coaches by wins, by prestige, by accolades, what they did. I hope Mr. Ford will come in. Mr. Ford be on tonight so he give his input on this. So we get his input on this, and it was cool. Man, I appreciate everybody that tuned in on Tuesday. Um, I mean Monday. I'm sorry, Monday. They tuned in on Monday with Bruce Eugene on the show. Um, it's you know what I'm saying. cool when you have a player on the show, but it's ecstatic when you got a dang on legend come on to the come to the show, man. And I appreciate Bruce for coming on and telling his story and letting us know what he's doing and where he stands and what he wants to do now. But before we get into before we get into uh tonight's topic, I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick commercial break for the sponsorship, and then we'll talk about what's going on in the HBCU world.
Hbcu OverDrive is proudly sponsored by WeWorkForEverything.org. At WeWorkForEverything.org, this is for those who are trying to build for a dream with their latest hoodies, t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, and accessories and more. You can have it all here at a reasonable price. Black owned and operated out of the great state of New York. Like I said, get suited and booted. Check it out at WeWorkForEverything.org. Peace.
All right, we're back. We're back. We are back. And I apologize for the delay earlier, just trying to get everything set up at my little spot. But we I'm glad that we are back. Um yep, make sure everybody check out the channel sponsors of WeWorkForEverything.org. Also, make sure if you want to donate to the channel, you can hit the Cash App. Make sure that's good. Cash App HBCU OverDrive. And also, if you have any topics or if you know somebody that you feel like you want to interview, go ahead and email me at hbcuoverdrive@gmail.com. And also for tomorrow, just let everybody know tomorrow I will have Jacoby Morgan transfer from Syracuse. That's at Jackson State right now. I will have him on the show tomorrow at 7. So make sure that y'all tune in for that. But first thing first, um, give a shout out to I'm I'm uh, I'm I'm speechless. What I'm saying is, let's give a shout out to the FAMU Rattlers baseball team for winning the SWAC baseball tournament this weekend. Let's give a shout out to the FAMU baseball team for winning the SWAC baseball tournament this weekend. They pretty much swept, I wouldn't say swept, but they was in a dogfight with Alabama State, who was at the time, Alabama State was number one all overall in the conference for baseball. Um, FAMU kind of gotten over that slump, first game slump where they gave up 5 runs in the ninth inning, to go back and play Alabama State again to beat them again, and then beat Bethune Cookman in the SWAC tournament final. So, like I said, let's give a shout out, give a round of applause to the FAMU Rattler baseball team. It's all love over here, but when it comes to football, y'all will get got. And then, okay, Ms. Lovin, thank you, Ms. Lovin. Always said, okay, Jackson State versus FAMU will be televised on ESPN. So that is the second game of the season. First game of the season would be the Meac SWAC Challenge against South Carolina State down in Atlanta. We will be prime time for that prime time on ABC that Saturday. So make sure that y'all tune in for that game on Saturday in prime time. In prime time. We ain't talking about the coach. We talking about the TV slot. talking about the TV slot in prime time. Um, so those two games will be on ABC and ESPN respectively. Every other game, I think it should be on ESPN Plus. We do have one that will be uh, rebroadcast on ESPNU. So make sure that we all tune into the games for Jackson State. Make sure we tune in for all games for HBCU football, not just for Jackson State, not just for Southern, not just for Grambling, not for just for everybody for HBCU football. So if you got to turn it on HBCU Go, put it on there. If you had to turn it on the HBCU League Pass Plus, watch games on there. So we can make sure that we get all the clicks, all the impressions, everything to make sure to let them know that we are engaged and we are interested in our product. That's pretty much what I got to say about that. Another thing um, I'm happy about as far as with Jackson State, I'm happy about the season ticket promotion that they have going on. Um, my boy Zoe Phillips in the commercial with Coach Otis Ridley, assistant head coach Otis Ridley, uh, basically telling you to get your damn tickets. If you haven't got your season tickets are $110. That is a deal. I don't care what anybody say. That is a deal for even for 4 games. Your season tickets for $110. That is equivalent to $27.50 per ticket. So don't say that it's too much money. Just factor it in your budget. That's how you do that. That way, you don't have to worry about paying $35, $40 for just one ticket. Get your season ticket, $110. You cannot beat that. You can't beat that price, y'all. You cannot beat that price. Most schools have their season tickets for like $200, $300, $400, $500. 110, you cannot beat that price right there. And if anybody say, well, you're not making no money off of it, look, you sell, let's say we sell 30,000 season tickets. That's $3.3 million right there. Let's just say, I'm just saying, I'm putting it in context. Let's just say Jackson State sells 30,000 season tickets, y'all. And I'm just putting the numbers out. I'm just putting numbers out there. That's $3.3 million right there in the pocket of the school. And people want to go ahead and clown us for doing the business that we do. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if you think if it needs fine tuning, just tune it up to where you feel like it's going to make sense. It's going to make money. That's what you do. That's how you do it. I mean, we don't really need the complete overhaul. I mean, we don't really need to reinvent the wheel, but I'm just saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So other than that, man, um, where we have gotten we gotten over the fact that we have all the lists come out, and like I said, I didn't want to do a top 10 list of the all time HBCU football coaches. I just wanted to I just wanted to put out there, like, we need to recognize these men because sometimes we don't really talk about them like that. I don't. Hey Sam, I wish they had. I wish we did have that. And like I said, if we can track the progress of how many season tickets were being sold, I wish we can do that. Um, it would be nice. It would be cool that we can have that going. But I doubt that we do have some like progress going on. And um hold on before we get into this, I just got dinged on Twitter, y'all. Um I just got dinged on Twitter. But uh my guy Stephen J. Gaither, um, who is the founder of HBCU Game Day, just put out an article on HBCUGameDay.com about the interview I had with Bruce Jean. Hey, he tagged me in it. I'm 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 just I'm ecstatic about this, y'all. I'm ecstatic. I got put on HBCU Game Day. Oh, Neff. Oh, what's up? Hey, I'm gonna I'm gonna rewatch Jed Lacey's show later on tonight so I can get the comedy of it, y'all. Um Says 6,000 already sold to date. That's great, y'all. That is great. What's up, Timona? Everybody's always hating on us, man. Everybody's always hating. You know what I'm saying? Don't hate, appreciate. You know what I'm saying? That's how I see it. That's how I put it out there. But man, if everybody's joining in, I'm talking about the interview I did with Bruce Eugene on Monday, right? Stephen J. Gaither just came out with an article on HBCUGameDay.com, and and he put me up in that thing because you know what I'm saying. He put me up in that thing. So like what it says, Grambling State University legend unhappy with Hugh Jackson. Y'all ain't hear me, y'all. Y'all ain't hear me. Grambling State University legend unhappy with Hugh Jackson. I'm just let me repeat that. Grambling State University legend is unhappy with Hugh Jackson. So let's see what we got. Let me scroll on down. Hugh Jackson is heading into his second season at Grambling State University, and he's got a long way to go towards winning one of the school's legends' favor. Former Grambling State quarterback and FCS legend Bruce Eugene was recently asked his opinion of the job that Hugh Jackson is doing, and he didn't mince his words. Eugene said he felt that Hugh Jackson hire was Grambling State trying to follow in the footsteps of Jackson State after it hired Deion Sanders, which I can say that is true. I'm gonna say I'm gonna be weird. I'm gonna be 100 with y'all. That is true. That was true. That is true. I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be real with y'all on that. I felt like us trying to get Coach U was us trying to copy y'all Jackson State, making a big splash. Eugene told HBC Overdrive about Doc Holliday earlier this week. See, he's cited sources, y'all. We were the first ones to make such a splash when we hired Coach Doug Williams. We're tone setters. We set the tone already. We already did that. They're trying to catch up to us at Grambling, what we're doing. But we look like we became the followers, the little brothers, when we made that move. And that's his opinion, y'all. That is his opinion. That is his whole opinion about that. Coach Hugh is not Coach Prime. Coach Prime has an aura about him, and that's also true. Eugene continued. He has that aura that's infectious that everybody wants to run to and be a part of what Coach Prime is doing. Coach Hugh don't have that same type of infectious spirit that Prime has. Here are 3 other highlights from the 2-hour-long interview. Ooh, ooh. Man, this is crazy. Apparently, Eugene and Jackson have had conversations, including an interview, but nothing ever came of it. I felt like I should have been on his staff, being that, what I've done for Grambling. How can I help in recruiting and everything like that? I felt like I should have been on the staff as a quarterback coach. If he didn't want to bring me on as an offensive coordinator, that's fine. I feel like as a quarterback coach or an offensive analyst or something, I should have been on the staff. Eugene is a 3-time Walter Payton Award winner who finished as the second all-time passing career leader in the SWAC with 13,533 total passing yards, 140 total touchdowns, and 38 interceptions in 1657 pass attempts, highlighted by 874 total completions, with only Steve McNair topping those numbers. And this is where we get into the spot where he talked about that Hugh Jackson did cut players. Jackson cut players he sent to Grambling State University. Beyond his personal situation, Eugene wasn't happy with the way a player that he sent down to Grambling State was treated. Noah Bowden was a 3-star prospect that committed to Grambling State University under Broderick Fobbs back in 2020. But before Jackson coached the game at GSU, Bowden was in the transfer portal and headed to arch rival Southern University. Eugene says he didn't influence the move. He says Bowden was cut, quote unquote, cut by Jackson. I didn't move him. Hugh cut him. Hugh called him into the office, told him, look, we're going in a different direction. You won't be the quarterback here at Grambling State. Have a great day. That was it. Eugene said Bowden had offers from FAMU, Long Island University, and Norfolk State before ultimately committing to Southern. He told me, Coach, I want to go to Southern. I want to play against Grambling. I want to beat them and show them what they gave up. And Bowden isn't the only player that Eugene sent to Grambling State that was dismissed under Jackson. Offensive lineman Chris Chernak Jr. was cut as well. According to Eugene, you cut him, said he can't play for you, and UMass, San Diego State, Old Dominion, everybody else thinks otherwise, Eugene said. This is a kid, 6'8", 365. You can't get it together. You can't coach him up. I guess they felt like he didn't fit what they were doing, so he'll be on the Old Dominion. And this is what we talked about when the main thing we talked about where he said taking the G off the helmet. I asked him about that throughout the interview too. Hugh Jackson made headlines last season when he took the G off the Grambling State University helmet, stating that the players would have to earn it back. Eugene was not a fan. I know a lot of Grambling people were not fans of that move right there. I know a lot of people Grambling alum, were not a fan of their move right there. Nah, you good, man. You good. What's good? Hey, Steven, what's going on, man? What a story. But let's finish it off, man. Uh, I was upset for the simple reading. What's the G got to do with you winning and losing? That should have been a staff issue prior to the season. They should have earned their G's prior to the season, because coach used to tell us that that G isn't for the current people that are playing. That G is for the ones that came before you. That's who that G represents. When they see you, that means you're holding it down. We look average. I wasn't the G. It wasn't the G. It wasn't the G that was stopping you from playing. Eugene continue. It wasn't the G that didn't cause you to throw the ball, make the tackle, or anything else. That was just bad habits. That was just not having the want to get it done. The want to get it done. Like like when I'm saying when I'm saying that he unloaded the clip, he unloaded the clip. He that man unloaded that clip, and he had every right to do it. He had every right to do to say what he said. He had every Bruce Eugene had every right to say what he said. We talked about, and like we said, you talking about a SWAC legend, one of the greatest quarterbacks in SWAC history, in black college football history, in FCS history, only behind Steve McNair. You talking about a man that won 3 SWAC titles, Black National Championship, and you couldn't hire him as a head coach. I mean, not even as a head coach, as an offensive coordinator. You couldn't even hire him as a quarterback coach. I would at least say the quarterback coach, because look, you got dude like you had Noah Bowden down there. He can coach him up easily. Julian Calvez, he can coach him up easily. What's the other guy name? Quaterius Hawkins, coach him up easily. No, you went another way. You went another way. Hugh Jackson went another way. Understandably so. It's your team. It's your team, but don't dismiss the man that put put Grambling back on the map after the Eddie Robinson era. Because from 97 to 2000, 97 to 2000, Grambling football was pretty much minuscule. Then comes Doug Williams, and he gets it going out the gate. And then Doug Williams leave out. Melvin Spears comes in. He continues that. Like literally, literally, you literally, man, bringing them in on the staff would help improve Grambling immensely. we said this from the jump. Not hiring Art Browse or not sticking behind Art Browse was a cop out. If you Hugh Jackson, if you felt strongly about Art Browse, you would have kept them on your staff. You would not have had Art go through the whole through all everything else. You would have kept Art Browse on your staff. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Telling the truth. You would have if you felt strongly about Art Browse being your offensive coordinator. You should have went to bat for him and kept him on your staff. The hell with everybody else to say. You should have kept them on the staff. If you felt strongly about that dude, you should have kept them on your staff. And then when going back through the interview, he said it was between him and Ted White. Ted White, and then nobody too does not know about Meac football. I'm still learning about Meac football, but Ted White from Howard was Ted the Flight White from Howard was a dog. Meac great. And you did not even bring him on. That's dumb, man. And then now you understand why people laugh at Hugh Jackson when he was in the NFL of being a coach that went 1-15, 0-16. They laugh at that. You see why dudes like Jamarcus Russell, when you was with Oakland, like you didn't have that man back, and he had every right. He got every right to talk dirt. He has every right to dog you. He has every right to dog walk you with his words. But man, look, shout out to my boy Stephen J. Gaither. There's an article on HBCU Game Day. Make sure you go check it out, hbcugameday.com. It's pretty much the first, I think it's the first article that's out there. It's the first one that's out there. So, but yeah, man, that was that interview right there. That interview right there, I think, was one of my all time great interviews that I had. I think that was better than the volleyball players that I interviewed last year. I'm just putting it out there like that. But let's move on from that. We are here for today's topic. And like I said, I did not want to I did not want to do a list. I didn't want to do a top 10 list because y'all not about to kill me on Twitter. Y'all are surely not about to y'all not about to destroy me on Twitter. Okay? I'm not about to I'm not about to get roasted on Twitter. What I will do is let people come up on and chime in, and we can have a roundtable discussion about the all-time HBCU football coaches. But y'all ain't gonna destroy me on Twitter. I learned my lesson. I seen what going on from what last week and the week before that. I'm learning my lesson. I'm learning my lesson, y'all. All right, but I'm gonna say I'm gonna say this before we move on. Um, I'm gonna say this before we move on. Like I said, I'm congratulating my stepson for choosing Jackson State University as his school of choice. Uh, it has made me proud. I'm a proud parent. It has made his mother proud. She's a proud parent, and it got me to the point where I just feel like I'm probably have to go right back to school again. So we'll see what's gonna happen with that, y'all. But all time HBCU football coaches. Excuse me, my words are minced. Um, First of all, we got to start off with the GOAT. We got to start off with the GOAT, Eddie Robinson, Eddie G. Robinson. You have to start off with him. 406 wins. The man spent pretty much his whole time at one institution at Grambling State University, 1941 to 1997. And it was to the I am as I was ecstatic. I was glad that I had got the chance to see him his last year, which was my freshman year at Jackson State, to coach on the sideline in the vet. His last year was my freshman year at Jackson State. But you cannot say anything about HBCU football without mentioning that man's name, Eddie G. Robinson. Not Eddie Robinson Jr., Eddie G. Robinson. Eddie gave Robinson Sr. So hold on, Sid. Hold on, Sid. See if this board coming in. But yeah, Eddie Robinson, the man, the man. You cannot, like I said, you cannot talk about Grambling football without talking about Eddie Robinson. That's it. Trying to see if Mr. Ford can connect. Might have to come back out, Mr. Ford, and come back in. Oh, there you go.
You hear? Hey, can you hear me, Doc?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I had to sleep out for Tuesday, man. I was tired. I was still
Oh
sleeping
yeah.
out for the weekend.
Oh yeah, I understand. I understand.
Yeah, so we gonna start out the this ain't a list. It's just all we gonna start off a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
So we got Eddie Robinson because you can't talk HBCU football without talking about that man.
Right, without a doubt.
Without a doubt, you cannot. 406 wins, 165 losses, 15 ties. The man has 9 black national championships, 17 SWAC titles.
Right.
Last one was in 1994. So you cannot mention HBCU football without mentioning him. And not only was he a great football coach, but he did coach basketball.
Yeah.
He
Oh yeah.
he was a good coach in basketball. So
Yeah. One of his stars was a guy named Bob Hopkins. Bob eventually went to the Syracuse Nationals, I think. I'm trying to think now. Syracuse, what did they become?
The
Is that the
76ers.
76ers? That's right. Yeah. Bob eventually coached at Southern and Grambling.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, people don't talk about these coaches, and I'm glad that Stephen Gaither came and gave me a list of coaches to talk about, because nobody really don't talk about these coaches like this. Of course, my second on the list would be it'd be Billy Joe. Billy Joe, what he did at Central State, and then turn around, going down to Tallahassee, doing what he did at FAMU. I don't think too many people could actually mimic that right there. What do you think, Mr. Ford?
Listen, Billy Joe is a personal friend of mine. I think Billy played with Joe Namath. He's a graduate of Villanova, very brilliant man. I think he has undergrad and he has 2 master's degrees. He was from a town, I think it was Coatesville, Pennsylvania. Somebody needs to look it up. Yeah, he was on that championship team, I think, that the Jets had that beat the Baltimore Colts in maybe 69.
Yeah, 69.
Yeah. Now, what is lost about him is that he trained under 2 of the most brilliant football minds in the world.
Okay.
He trained under a guy named Dick Vermeil, and the other guy was named Sid Gilman. Sid Gilman was, I think Sid Gilman might have been the head coach at Ohio State, and at one time was the head coach of the San Diego Chargers. They had John Hadel, Lance Allworth, that crew. Billy's a brilliant guy. I saw his teams at Central State. I mean, they were a machine. And then, of course, I saw him when Dr. Humphreys brought him to Florida A&M to come in after they had gotten rid of Ken Riley as head football coach. He was something else, man. Billy Joe is. Matter of fact, I encourage everybody to listen to that interview he did with Vaughn Wilson, and he basically tells you how in 92 or 93, this Dr. Bryant, I think her name was Castile Bryant, somebody from FAMU. What was that lady's name? Basically, she destroyed that football program listening to this guy named Bobby Lee talking about they going to go Division I and play Oklahoma and all them people with the same amount of money and all that. And basically what they did, they destroyed that program. They fired Billy and destroyed that program until the coming of Willie Simmons. And they hired some of the worst people you could have. Number 1 being Earl Holmes, who had been an All-American at FAMU. And then they brought in a guy that we knew very well named Alex Woods, who did absolutely nothing in Tallahassee. And it was a sad period after they fired, because Billy was like, if you look up his record, I think he was like 86-20 at FAMU. There was no reason to do that.
Right.
Yeah, it was really ridiculous. And FAMU suffered for many years. They fired him in, I think, 2003. They don't get a winning team or team of FAMU standards until Willie Simmons. When did Willie Simmons come in? 2017 or 2016?
I think it was 2017.
2017, yeah. They have a decent team until.
Dooley was already in Prairie View.
Yeah. Well, that's when they got the program back together. But yeah, I'm just gonna tell you like this: there are so many outstanding coaches throughout Black college history. Coach Robinson, when I was at Grambling, he told us that he struggled with Billy Nix, who was at Prairie View. He struggled with Alonzo Jake Gaither, Florida A&M.
Right.
And let's see who else he told us he had problems with. Arnett Mumford, Southern. He couldn't do nothing with Arnett. Matter of fact, Grambling emerged after the death of Arnett Mumford. Because when Arnett Mumford was living, the best black college program in Louisiana was Southern University.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, it was Southern University.
And then that's another name we gonna go to, Jake Gaither, like you said, from
Yeah.
Florida A&M.
Did Gaither send you the name of Cleve Abbott at Tuskegee?
That I seen, and I'm reading this too.
What about Coach Hersuff at Morgan State?
I'm reading that one too. I
What
read
about
a lot of
Skip McCain at Maryland State?
Maryland State. Yep. Earl Banks at Morgan State.
Earl Banks, yeah. Earl was something else. Earl used to clash with Rob too.
Yeah, Henry King, Kentucky State.
Henry Arthur King eventually went to Tennessee State. Yeah. That's the guy Harrison Wilson, who was a coach at what was Harrison at? Harrison was the basketball coach at Jackson State, eventually becomes the president of Norfolk State. That's Russell Wilson's granddaddy.
Okay.
See, Henry Arthur King coached him and Big John Merritt and them at Kentucky State. Also, right. Dave Whitney was up there. I don't know if Dave played football. I think he played football. I know Dave was really good in basketball and baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Dave played in the Negro Leagues. He played with the Kansas City Monarchs. Yeah.
Yeah, then, you talking about Ace Mumford.
Yeah, Arnett Mumford was something else.
Yeah, he was at, I didn't know he was at Jarvis. I didn't know he was at Bishop College. Didn't even know he was at Texas College. I just knew about Southern University. I didn't know
he was there first. Yeah, he was there first.
And I didn't know about all those other schools that he was at.
Yeah, and he was actually from West Virginia, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was from West Virginia. But he was a brilliant man. He was, his wife talks about when Bear Bryant would come to their house and on the bluff, Frank Brawls would come. He would always, every year, he would go up to Berea, I think it's Berea, Ohio. Uh-huh. That was the training grounds for the Cleveland Browns. And he would always go up and learn from Paul Brown. And he would bring all that stuff back to Southern. He had a program out this world, man.
And he was 179, 61, and 13.
He didn't win 200 games?
Overall, he did. I think he did win 200.
Yeah, I thought he won. And how about Billy Nix? Didn't he win 200 games?
Billy Nix won 200 games too.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
No, Billy Nix won 188.
He won 188 because he was something else. Like, he used to give Jake Gaither a lot of problems down there in that. They had that thing called the Orange Blossom Classic. That was back in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. That was like the Bayou Classic. That was the biggest black college game it was. Man, they would bring them boys in from Prairie View, boy. Look, them boys from Texas was something else. Them boys was something else, man.
It was just his record at. It was just Coach Mumford's record at Southern.
He was something else too. See, now he played when Coach Mumford was at Southern. He played FAM every year. That was really his arch rival. Was Alonzo J. Gaither. That FAM. I don't know if I told you the story. You know the story about the boombox, right? I mean about the jukebox, right? You know how the jukebox started, right?
You talk the band, right?
Yeah. You know what happened, right?
Nah, I never knew about how the jukebox started.
Yeah, what happened was the president of Southern University, he was chauffeured. He was chauffeured to Tallahassee. He saw the 100.
Okay.
He told the people that he wanted a band like that, and that he wanted at least 100 pieces. That's the beginning. That was the brainchild. I don't know what president it was, but that's the beginning. That was in the 40s. That's the beginning of the jukebox, jukebox.
Okay.
Yeah, this president, I'll have to do the research on who the president was, but supposedly he went to a game in Tallahassee. Southern was playing them, and he liked 100, and he told the people at Southern he wanted a band like that, and he wanted them to have at least 100 pieces.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the rivalry between Southern and Florida A&M goes way back. That's a very intense rivalry. They don't like each other even today. And they definitely didn't like each other back in the day.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Yeah. When FAMU would come to Southern, they wouldn't play that game on the campus. They would go downtown Baton Rouge and play that.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, they
Hey,
would go downtown.
yeah, we got Big John Merritt,
Mm.
Tennessee
Yeah.
State,
Oh man.
where at
Ooh.
the time it was Tennessee A&I.
Yeah. He was
Uh,
something else, man.
had players come up, Richard Dent,
Oh,
and
Eldridge Dickey was from
Dick.
Houston, Texas. They
Mhm.
called him the Lord's Prayer. He was ambidextrous. He could throw with his right and left hand. He could punt. He could kick off. He could do it all. He's one of the greatest black college quarterbacks of all time. He was from Houston, Texas. He was drafted by the Oakland Raiders.
And then you got Ed Too Tall Jones. You
He was
had
the number one draft choice, I think, in 74. If it wasn't 70, yeah, I think it was 1974. He was the number one draft choice. He was 6'9". Big John took him off the basketball court. He came to Tennessee State on a basketball scholarship.
and just I don't know, just looking at the record because he was at one school, 245, 127,
You know, he was
235
at Jackson for 10 years now.
at Jackson for 10 years.
Yeah, he was the one that gave you Willie Richardson and them.
Mm.
He gave you them guys, Hoy Baker and all that crew.
And then, like you said, Ace Mumford, then Joe Taylor.
That's he was at started off at that preacher school up in Virginia Union.
Yep.
See, I remember when I was in college, he was at Virginia Union. Well, actually, he was at Howard. He was a defense coordinator for Doug Porter.
Hmm.
I think he was a high school coach in D.C. I got to go back and look it up. And I know he was a defense coordinator for Coach Doug Porter at Howard University. He made his bones. I think his first head coaching job on the collegiate level was Virginia Union.
Right.
That's Malcolm Barnwell in there. Malcolm eventually went to the Oakland Raiders as a wide receiver.
Yeah, so then you have Joe Taylor, then he gets down to FAMU and he won and
He didn't do nothing down there.
didn't do nothing down there.
He had a staff that was off. He had the worst offensive coordinator I've ever seen in my life. Okay, that boy was named Kershaw or something. They brought a kid in from the University of Kentucky. Man, what was that boy's name? The kid's dad had played for Billy Hayes at Winston-Salem. What was that kid's? Man, this kid was super, man. And they ruined that boy down there at Florida A&M. They ruined him. Oh, I can't even think of that. So look and see if anybody put his name in the chat.
And then let's see, you got Willard Bailey.
Yeah, Norfolk State. He was big time. Oh yeah, Willard Bailey. Oh yeah,
Union too. So
yeah, he was at Virginia Union, Norfolk State. Yeah. Did they put Billy Hayes on the list?
Oh, Bill Hayes on the list too.
Oh yeah, Billy Hayes never gets any credit. And he was awesome. He was at Winston-Salem. Matter of fact, when he left Winston-Salem, he gave the job to Pete Richardson. And then he went to North Carolina A&T. He had Cornell Maynard.
So he coached Cornell Maynard.
Yeah, he opened his offense up because he was basically I think he was a wing T guy.
Okay.
Yeah, he was always a wing. See, he had them battles with that guy you've been talking about, Ted White. He had battles with the guy that announces with Tiffany Green. What's his name?
Jay Walker.
Jay Walker. Jay Walker was something else too now. But Ted is probably the greatest quarterback Howard has ever had. Ted White is.
A name nobody really talks about. I think, like you just said, Cleveland Abbott.
Ooh, he's from. Let me see. From the 1890s until the end of World War II, Tuskegee had the best program in black college football on this side, in the deep South. Up north, it probably was Morgan State.
Right.
But see, when World War II came and left, that was the emergence of Billy Nix, Arnett Mumford, Jake Gaither, and then with those guys, with those people emerging, that was kind of like Tuskegee was kind of brought down. But before World War II, the most dominant program in the Deep South, black college wise, was Tuskegee. That's why Tuskegee is the winningest black college program. If you look up the number of wins, nobody has more wins than Tuskegee.
I think they have over they got close to 800 wins, right?
They got a lot of wins. I know they the number one winner. Because they had a team, you know, they used to call them Booker T's boys. That's what they used to call them.
So he said, let's see, he won 12 SIAC championships.
Yeah, he was something else.
And he had go 10 in a row.
Yeah, and remember now, he what you at one time, if you were going to go to the Olympics, say in the 20s and 30s and 40s and all that, you had to go to Tuskegee to the Tuskegee relays. That's the kind of class, because actually he was a military guy.
Right.
I think he was from South Dakota somewhere. I went to South Dakota somewhere.
He went to South Dakota State.
Yeah, went to South Dakota State. Yeah, but this man was dominant, man. I'm telling you, he dominated black college football from. Let's see. I know Tuskegee was the top program from the 1890s until the end of World War II.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. So he had 6 black college national football championships.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then 4 in a row too. So that is a feat. I don't think a lot of schools can't even do that. Now,
this man was awesome, man. Tuskegee had an outstanding athletics program, man. People, I mean, you know, we know about Booker T. Washington, we know about George Washington Carver, but they had a program, an athletic program. There was another guy up under him named Ross Owens. Their track program was top notch. They were sending people to the Olympics. That Tuskegee relays used to be one of the top relays in the nation. It was, all the black colleges would come to the Tuskegee relays. I think they let it go out. I don't know why they did that, but they let it go out. But that Tuskegee relays, man, was something else.
And then we got Edward P. Hurt.
That's the guy at Morgan State.
Right.
Oh, he was dominant. He was dominant.
And I didn't even know he started at Lynchburg.
Yeah. And I think he was a math teacher. He was a math teacher. The guy Skip McCain at Maryland State, he was a math teacher also. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were math teachers.
So let's see. Reading this off. So he was coaching from 1925 to 1959.
Yeah. Yeah.
Coaching, Edward P. Hurt played defensive end for the Howard Bison.
That's right. He came from Howard. Yeah.
He began his coaching career as the head coach of Virginia Seminary, which is now Virginia University of Lynchburg. Mm-hmm. After 3 years, he would go on to coach the Morgan State Bears, where he would remain for the next 30 years.
Right.
He filed an overall record of 173, 51, and 20 with Morgan State, leading them to 14 CIAA championships.
Right.
6 black national titles.
Yeah, that was him.
And he also coached the basketball and track teams, winning 13 CIAA championships in the former and 4 in the latter. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know what? Nobody knows about him. To me, Morgan doesn't do a good job of pushing him.
I think they need to.
Listen, he should have a museum. He should have a museum. Jake Gaither should have a museum. Big John Merritt should have a museum. Billy Nix should have a museum. Arnett Mumford, if you won almost 200 games, you should have a museum on campus. To me, what's his name? W.C. Gordon should have a museum.
You put a museum for W.C. Gordon, I think everybody would come up there.
Yeah, it should be on campus. He should have a museum because he was that successful.
Let's see, we got John Merritt, like I said, Jackson State, Tennessee State. So following a college career that saw him play guard for the Kentucky State Thoroughbreds, John Merritt was set the head coach job at Jackson State. He remained head coach for Jackson State for 11 season, finished with a record of 63, 37, and 5, winning 3 conference championships.
Yeah, because see, he was having to fight on that Mumford. And Mumford, you couldn't get by Mumford or Billy Nix. They owned the SWAC at one time.
So then he goes to coach Tennessee State in 63 and would serve as their coach for the next 20 years.
Right. Yeah. Next 20 years.
He did not record a single losing season.
Oh no, he was something else, man.
A
See,
rec-
Tennessee, listen, here's the thing about Tennessee State. There are not that many black people in Tennessee. Okay. So what Big John did, he recruited Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. And he went up north to Ohio. Because if you look at the geographical location of Tennessee, it's surrounded, it's like a central location, and all of these states surround. See, that's why I tell people all the time about why they got to bring back that Southern Heritage game with Jackson and Tennessee State. That's an opportunity from people from the north to come. See, people come down from Chicago, people come from St. Louis. And see, when you look at the student body at Tennessee State, they've always brought in a lot of out-of-state students. Okay? His football players came from all over the South. He went to Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana.
Uh-oh. Maybe lost Mr. Ford for a second. Let me get him back on. I just like listen to this. Alexander Durley for Texas Southern. I really didn't hear too much about him, but I know that they said that he was a great coach, football coach for TSU. And Marino Chasm, yeah, he does deserve a museum at Alcorn.
But Dave Whitney and can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, they should have a museum at Alcorn for Dave Whitney and for the Godfather. Them guys were legendary, man. There should be a museum at Alcorn for Coach Castle and Coach Whitney. Because see, at one time, Coach Whitney was considered in the top 5 coaching. I'm talking about this with Bobby Knight and all that crew, Dean Smith and all them.
Yeah,
all of them respected Coach Whitney.
Coach Whitney just have his style of offense, his style of play was like just run up and down the court. And
Oh, he was something else, man. But see, he was trained, a lot of his training came from the godfather of black college basketball. That guy was named McClendon. If you ever get a chance, there's a book written by this, I think that guy's name is Katz. He wrote a 600-page book about John McClendon. See, much of the stuff that these Division I, Power 5 white coaches claim, they got that stuff from John McClendon and then claimed it. They stole it from him and then claimed it.
Yeah, we don't talk about. Then I'm looking at it. Vernon Skip McCain's Maryland State.
Oh, he was a monster. And see what they were doing. They would go up north and play white schools and beat them. They were in Maryland, but they would go up north. They would go above the Mason-Dixon line and whoop white schools, and then come on back home.
So then everybody has somebody. The coaches now they have somewhat of a mentor that they coached under.
Yeah.
So like Skip McCain came through with Henry King from Tennessee State. Then he gets to Maryland State, and they was 48-4 as an independent. And then they joined the Ciaa 54. His team went 2 years without a conference loss and made it to the Orange Blossom Classic. He was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 2006. So, like I said, these dudes, these men don't really get that much credit
at all.
They're done. Earl Banks, same as an assistant at Maryland State. He replaced Ed Hurt. Went 8-7-1 his first 2 seasons. Then he went they say he went a 7-year stretch of winning at least 7 Ciaa games. That included a 3-year stretch from 65 to 67, in which he never lost a conference game, going 24-0.
Yeah, see, Earl was from Chicago. I think Earl played at Iowa. Somebody look it up. I think he played at Iowa. He might have been the only black player in that program. But somebody look Earl Banks up. I think he played at Iowa. I know he's from Chicago. But see, when I was a little boy, that first game at Yankee Stadium, that was Earl Banks versus Eddie Robinson. They got a special on that right now. It's a documentary called "The Battle of the Bronx" or something. But that was the first game. That game was 1968. It was Grambling versus Morgan State at Yankee Stadium. It was over 60,000 people there.
Oh yeah, Mike put it in the chat. He said Banks did play at Iowa.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I think he was the only black on the team, and I know he was from Chicago.
Herman Riddick from North Carolina Central.
Yeah, he's another one, and nobody knows about him.
Nobody knows about him.
Yeah, you're right, Herman Riddick. Yeah,
nobody knows about these guys right here. When you start talking about the coaches, because we're so trained with, like I said, with Eddie Robinson.
Did they put Willie Jeffries on that list?
Willie Jeffries on, yes.
Yeah, okay, because he was something else, man. He was something else. I saw him as a kid. Wait a minute. When I see Willie Jeffries was, I think he was an assistant to Johnny Majors up at Pittsburgh. And then he left Pittsburgh and took over. Somebody look him up. I think he left Pittsburgh and came down to South Carolina State, because before him, it was a man named Horry Banks. Horry Banks had worked under Eddie Robinson at Grambling. Horry Banks and them was from Kansas. They were what we would call Midwesterners. We had to go back and look them guys up. But yeah, somebody look and see, when did Willie Jeffries come to South Carolina State? I think it was early 70s, because he was with, I think he was with Johnny Majors at Pittsburgh.
Let's see, Willie Jeffries.
Can you hear me, Doc?
I can hear you.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Willie Jeffries was at South Carolina State.
What was his first year?
73.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Because one of his first stars was Harry Carson. Yeah, that was one of his first stars.
Of course, I didn't know that. I didn't even know that. And then he went. He was the first. He was the first head coach to go to.
That was my freshman. He left South Carolina State and went to Wichita State. Had a boy named Prince McJukin, I think it was. That was his quarterback.
So it wasn't Dion, y'all. Let's get this. Let's get this cleared up. It wasn't Dion.
No.
It's Willie Jeffries.
Willie Jeffries. Willie went in the 70s. Because I remember he was making $27,000 at South Carolina State. They tripled his salary when he got to I think when he got to Wichita State. Yeah, they tripled his salary.
And then he went back to South Carolina State.
Well, he went to Howard. When he left Wichita State, he went to Howard.
And then he went back
to South Carolina State. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
And then, of course, after South Carolina State, after he left South Carolina State, he left the program in the hands of Buddy Pugh.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Was that? Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah. Yep. I think so. Yeah. Because Buddy played for him. Buddy played offensive tackle for him.
Right.
Yeah, Buddy played for him. Then I think Buddy has now broke his record as the winningest coach in South Carolina State history.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you got Pete Richardson.
Oh, yeah. Listen, man. See, Pete played for the Cincinnati Bengals. He was, wait a minute, was it Cincinnati? It was either Cincinnati or Buffalo. It Buffalo? That's right. He and you remember the coach that was at Bethune-Cookman, he was the dresser. They called him Shine.
Yeah.
Okay. He and Pete Richardson were teammates I think with the Buffalo Bills, and also Shaq Harris might have been their teammate with the Buffalo Bills.
Hmm.
Yeah, all them were teammates up there.
So he get the job at Winston-Salem State.
Yeah. He had been a big time high school coach at a school in Dayton, Ohio called Dunbar. And two of the guys, one was named L.C. Cole and had a brother named Johnny Cole. Johnny went to Texas Southern. L.C. went to Nebraska. They played for Pete Richardson in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool. Somebody who on here from Ohio, you remember, like I said, it was called Dunbar High. Dunbar High. It was in Dayton, Ohio. They had a boy that everybody thought was going to be Michael Jordan. His name was Dwight Anderson. He went to the University of Kentucky in basketball. He came out of that high school too.
So yeah, he gets the job from Bill Hayes, because Bill Hayes coached out of Winston-Salem State all the way up.
Yeah. Bill brought him to Winston-Salem. He came there as a defense coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then when Bill left for A&T, he took over as head man. You remember Yancey, Thickpen, and them? They played for Pete Richardson.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Donald Evans, Torrey Woodbury. I think, was it Torrey Wood? I might be wrong on Torrey. I'm not sure.
And then he takes then he goes, he's only there with Winston-Salem for 5 years, and then he takes that job at Southern.
Listen, there was a lady who was president at Southern University, Dr. Dolores Spike. She was brilliant. She and Marino Cassim was the athletic director. Them two right there, that was a powerhouse, two minds right there, man. A lot of people wanted them to get Jerry Rice's coach, the gunslinger.
Archie Cooley.
But they decided to go with a younger guy. And the thing that upset a lot of people at Southern, they went outside the conference and got Pete Richardson. And a lot of people didn't like him. His staff wasn't SWAC. He came in with Cliff Yoshida as defense coordinator. He was Korean. He came in with a guy named Mark Orlando. Mark was from Florida State. He had a dynamic, his first staff, Fred Keiss was on that staff. He had a dynamic staff, man.
Yeah. Fred Keiss, when we was talking, you said Fred Keiss. Fred Keiss, I didn't even know that he, first of all, I realized he was white.
Yeah.
But I figured he was a brilliant offensive mind, that he built up offenses at HBCUs.
Oh, he worked at Bama State. He worked at Alcorn. Worked at Southern. He worked at Tennessee State. Now he's out of Bowie State. Now, according to him, he knew Tony Braxton and her sisters. I think he was in school or knew them or something. Might have been coaching at Bowie State. He knew them.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he was on the staff with the XFL with Reggie Barlow.
Yeah, that's right. And they won the XFL. Did they win it or they lost it?
They lost it to the Arlington Defenders.
That's right. You're right. Yeah. Yeah, he's on that staff. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So not only did he get with him, we need to get him in there. Like, I think he need to come back to HBCU football and get somebody a head coaching job, because he has a brilliant mind when it comes to the offense and with the quarterbacks. Because I think, just looking at the offenses with Alcorn, it was quarterback friendly. Like, it was quarterback.
Oh yeah. I think he was down there with Lenoris Footman and what's that kid was from Houston before Footman? That kid was about 6'5", maybe 6'6". He was a quarterback.
Was it John Gibbs?
Yeah, that's right. He had them kids. If he didn't have them, Willie Simmons had them.
Yeah, so like he was offensive coordinator at Hampton under
I'm looking right here. I see that. Say he was at Hampton under Joe Taylor.
So
he's been around.
The man doesn't get a lot of recognition for all the stuff that he has done at HBCU football. Yeah,
he's because first time I knew about him, he was on Pete Richardson's staff at Southern. Because let me tell you something. When Pete Richardson first hit the SWAC, Doc, he put a stranglehold on the SWAC.
Oh, I have,
Something else, man.
I watched it. I
Ooh,
watched it from afar, but I know when I got to Jackson and I seen what he did.
yeah, man, he was something else, man. Them
Yeah,
first five, let me see, the first maybe 7 years, nobody couldn't do nothing with him
nah,
because his teams didn't make no mistakes. And if you made a mistake, baby, like you said the other night, Pete was in your face.
yeah. And
He
then
was in your face.
his offense was the racehorse offense. That I
Yeah,
remember that.
yeah,
I remember that. They
yeah.
used to talk about that all the time, especially during the Bayou Classic. Amara
Mhm.
Rashad talk about that offense. I was like, and then I looked at it, I'm realizing I see why they call it the racehorse offense because they going they going fast and
Yeah,
no subtle. Like it
yeah.
was something that nobody really didn't get a chance to adjust to in the SWAC.
And he
You know,
had that kid, Eric Randall, wasn't it? Wasn't it Eric Randall?
yeah, Ed Randall,
That was
like,
his first quarterback down at Southern. Used to wear them goggles in his helmet.
and he gave Eddie Robinson fits.
Oh, Rob was too old. He couldn't do nothing with him. I think Big Daddy might have beat him one time. I have to go back and look at it. Nobody could deal with him. Pete
Yeah,
Richardson, the first guy that really kind of break him was Billy Joe. Billy Joe put 65 points on him in, was it 99? I think 99.
99. It couldn't be 99. Cause remember, Eddie Robinson retired in 97.
No, I'm saying Billy Joe.
Oh,
Billy Joe beat Pete Richardson. He came to Tallahassee.
oh,
Billy
okay,
Joe put 65 on it. That was the first time anybody had ever done that to Pete Richardson. Nobody had ever done him like that. That was the quarterbacks was for FAMU at that time was Quinn Gray and another guy. Oh, he was from Florida. He had transferred from West Virginia. JJ1 Snyder or something like that. Because
okay.
they were running two quarterbacks. What's the name was a bomb and JJ1 Snyder. He could run the option and he could throw the football.
Mm.
Yeah, they was something else, man. Really, that year, FAM should have won the national championship in 1AA. They lost to Youngtown State.
Another coach nobody never talks about, don't get this kind of recognition. Rick Comedy.
Oh man, yeah, you're right.
We talking about if you want understand him, so Rick Comedy, coach at Jackson State, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Brought us back out of the
Tuskegee.
little doldrums. But when
Yeah,
he was at Tuskegee
and Central State.
at Central State, but
Yeah,
he made his bones at Tuskegee.
yeah. He won an NAIA championship at Central State too.
Mm-hmm.
He took over when Billy Joe left and went to FAM. He took over. He took over.
So that right there, nobody don't talk about that, man. What he did at Central State and what he did at Tuskegee. I mean,
Right.
talk about what we did at Jackson State because that was the talk because we was going through that doldrum where we had that man that I would not name on this show.
Yeah, yeah.
He would forever be nameless on this show, and in Jackson State history. He took over and basically he did what he's supposed to do.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
John Mr. Horace, nope, we do not say that name on here. that name is stricken from the record books at Jackson State University.
Oh yeah.
I think John Hendricks was a better coach than him. He only had a year and a half under his under his belt.
But you know, Doc, one of the things people don't do is see one of the people that helped ruin Jackson State's program was Dr. Ronald Mason. Because he brought that AD in, and then that AD brought in that man. And I think for me, Mason does not get enough credit for helping to destroy Jackson State's program because he helped destroy it.
I don't want to talk about Mason.
Yeah, Mason helped destroy that program.
I remember Mason when he first came in, and we was all up in arms about him. We was like, he's an outsider.
Yeah, basically. And he brought some outsiders in who helped to destroy a mighty program.
Yeah, if you was at school at Jackson State in 1990, he came in 99. I think
Yeah,
it was 99 because Dr. Lyons, yeah, that's when Dr. Lyons left out of Jackson in 99 to take the job in California.
right.
And he, he was like, he was coming from Southern University. I'm like, first of all, he comes from Southern.
Wait, who came from Southern?
Mason.
Oh, he came from. I thought he went to Southern. I thought after he left Jackson, he went to Southern.
Okay, so I think yeah, you're right. You're right. He
Yeah.
was he came in, what was that? Was it University of he
Hmm?
hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm okay, so yeah, he went to Southern for 2010. He was at Jackson from 2000, February 2000 to 2010.
And then he left and went to Southern.
We left and went to Southern. Now
Yeah.
he's at the University of District Columbia.
Yeah, he's been there for a little while, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been there for a while.
Yeah, he's been there for a while.
Yeah, it just that's another name I don't want to speak of either.
Yeah, man, he doesn't get enough credit for what he did.
Let's see, we got Marito Chasm with Alcorn,
Oh yeah,
AKA the Godfather.
the Godfather, baby.
Hampton Smith at Albany State.
Yeah, I knew him personally. Yeah. Oh yeah. Now he actually went to Mississippi Valley.
Okay.
Yeah, he went to Valley. He's from, is it Greenwood or Greenville? Which one's in the Delta?
Both of them in the Delta.
He's from one of them towns. And then he got his master's at Tennessee State. He worked under Coach Gillum and them, Coach Gillum and Coach Merritt now. I think he came to Albany State maybe in the early 70s, maybe 1970 or 69 or 70 something. I have to look it up. That's when he came to Albany State.
Came in 71.
71, that's right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it don't say where he was born at, but they just say he was at Albany State for 71 to 76, and then he came back in 82 to 99.
Yeah, he was dominant. He was dominant. His signature was his defenses. He ran a very simple offense, but his defenses was, man, they was something else. His defenses was airtight, man.
I think somebody put in the chat. Let me see. Let's see. Somebody put in the chat about Ed McGirt.
Yeah, was that Johnson C. Smith? Where was he?
Yeah, it says Johnson C. Smith.
Okay, I heard it. I heard him. I don't know too much about him, but I heard that name.
Then
Did he have Pettis Norman and those at Johnson C. Smith? Pettis Norman, I think, played for the Dallas Cowboys. He was with Dan Meredith and them. I think he was from Johnson C. Smith.
Let's see. Another coach nobody gives credit to is Rudy Hubbard.
Oh yeah, I saw Rudy's whole career at FAMU. He came in 70. The year that Ohio State won the national championship with Archie Griffin, Cornelius Green, Pete Johnson. Yeah, he came to FAMU in 70. the fall
74.
of 74.
Yep.
He brought a guy with him, Fred. That man was a defensive ace, man. God, what was his name? He eventually coached Rice and he coached Duke.
Oh yeah, Ken Hatfield. No, Fred Goldsmith. Fred Goldsmith.
Man, that dude was brilliant, man. Let me tell you something. For years, especially them 2 years they won the national championship, nobody could figure out his defense. The only somebody that could come close to him was Tennessee State because they would throw over it. But you could listen. The more you ran the ball against him, the more yards you lost. That guy Goldsmith was he was a mastermind, man.
Yeah, I watched that game and I was like, I watched that national championship game. It was on YouTube, and I was like, okay, I see why he had him on the staff.
Yeah, but see, the best game wasn't the best game was them against Jackson State.
That's what everybody kept saying.
It was. I saw that one on TV, and that was at the vet. It was real cold at that. ABC brought that game. It was it the first or second round of the 1AA playoff? But that was the game.
Mm-hmm.
That was the game, man. That was the game. That game was in December, maybe the second week in December.
Mm-hmm.
And man, they went at it. It was Jackson State. Jackson State had a boy named Robert Hartburn Hardy. He went to the Seattle. He went to the Seahawks. Yeah, he was a defensive lineman. And I think they met now Ricky. I don't know if Ricky was on that. Ricky Patton was on that team, or had Ricky left before that and come to the Falcons. But Ricky might have been on that team, Ricky Patton. But they was running that wishbone, man, and they were lethal with it too, man.
Let's see. We got W.C. Gordon. We talked about him all the time.
Oh man, he was the truth, man. He was the truth, bro.
He ran the SWAC in the 80s.
Yeah, man. He ran it. To be honest with you, kind of ran it in the 70s. Him and Eddie Robinson, they own that SWAC in the 70s too now. Yeah. Because, see, I remember before W.C. Gordon, there was a man named Bob Hill.
Right.
Bob Hill had played for the Baltimore Colts. He died maybe, 2-3 years ago? I think because Bob was Harold Jackson's coach, I think.
Yeah, because he coached Walter Payton also, right?
Yeah, listen, they had a picture one time of Jackson State's football player. First of all, everybody on the picture went pro. 2 of them went to the Hall of Fame. Peyton and no, 3 of them went to the Hall of Fame. It was Peyton, Jackie Slater, and Doom Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
All of them went to the NFL Hall of Fame. It was Donald Reese was on that picture. Vernon Perry was on that picture. Man, there was so many pros on that team. That's like 72 team or 73 team at Jackson. Just look at, if you ever get a chance, look at that picture. Everybody went pro.
Wow. Hold on, Mr. Ford.
Okay.
I just got some news. Hold on. Report. Shannon Sharp has reached a buyout with FS1 and Undisputed that ends his partnership with Skip Bayless.
For real?
Just now. About an hour ago.
Damn. Okay. What is that all about?
I don't know.
So he's off the show now?
He is off the show. I mean, he got his own. I mean, he got his podcast, so he got Club Shay Shay, but you know.
Okay, time will tell.
So he took a buyout. That means that something probably happened.
Yeah, something happened. Like they always say, time will tell.
Yeah, that you know, if you did something wrong, you know, you don't. If you feel like you innocent, you don't take no buyout.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to throw no water on that, but when I saw him about to fight at that Laker game, I knew that wasn't good. Sometimes they don't say nothing to you, but they hold that kind of stuff against you.
Right.
He said, "Who's that?" He was trying. Wasn't it somebody he was gonna fight at? I mean, in front of about 20,000 people. It was that boy. Wasn't it? Wasn't it? What's that guy's name?
It
Morant.
was. It was. Yeah, it was the Grizzlies. It was.
Grizzlies.
He was. He really wasn't going at the Morant. He was actually going at the Dylan Brooks.
Yeah, and then didn't Morant's daddy get in it or something?
Yeah, T. Morant jumped into it. He jumped into the whole fray too, and it's like, dude, just sit down somewhere.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that'll be interesting. You know, they're gonna have something. Those newspapers will have something to say about that because they're known. I mean, when I go to school, people talking about what he said, what Skip Bayless said, and all that.
Right.
So this is gonna be interesting.
Oh, Mr. Ford, what did you think about the interview from on Monday?
Was that? Oh man, I loved it. But let me tell you, I've been talking to people. Listen, nobody knew none of that stuff he told us about. He put that kid, that Noah, put him off the team, and then they put that offensive lineman off the team. Everybody around here was like, listen, he better win. He better win, man. Because nobody, I didn't know. I thought that Noah left because he wanted to be, on the
Dooley.
Yeah, I didn't know they put him off the team.
Nah, I think yeah.
And then that big offensive lineman, you put him off the team?
Yeah, and so like I said, Stephen Gaither, who's the head of HBCU Game Day.
Yeah.
He wrote an article. So he wrote an article about the interview that we had on Monday.
Oh yeah. And I can't believe nobody in the SWAC hadn't hired him either. I can't believe that.
Well, I think that was the biggest thing that we was talking about. Like what we was talking about earlier, we was like, the man is a SWAC legend.
That's what I'm saying. He trained by Doug Williams.
Right. And Melvin, he's trained by Melvin Spears. Melvin Spears don't get credit, a lot of credit. Doug Williams don't. Doug Williams get credit, but not enough credit like that. But
yeah, Melvin don't get no credit, but Doug gets his credit. But Doug is a NFL legend. He's a SWAC legend. He's a college football legend. So, everybody, he's a household word. He's an icon.
Right.
Doug Williams is an icon.
So, for Hugh Jackson to have the interview with both him and Ted White for the offensive coordinator position, but you go into you go with John Simon,
right?
Now it starts putting two and two together. Now you start thinking like, okay, that's the reason why you went 1-15 and 0-16 in the NFL. That's the reason why Jamarcus Russell flamed you on the Pivot podcast about your coaching ability.
Right.
That's the reason why a lot of in the NFL is not going to touch you. You get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Well, Doc, I'm gonna say it like this: he better win 9 games this year, and he better win that West. If they come out looking like they did last year, listen. What's his name? President Gallows will be getting calls at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning every day.
Every day.
Every day.
And here's the thing too, Mr. Ford. And what I was saying earlier, if you hire Art Browse, Art Browse done what he didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
He never did anything wrong. He did his job. He just got crucified for what happened at Baylor. He had to go back through the high school ranks to trying to get his name and clean his image up.
Right.
But if you did not stand on your laurels and spoke up for Art Browse when you hired him the first time as an offensive coordinator, you don't need to be a head coach.
Yeah, it appears he's double-minded, and they always say when you're double-minded, that's not good at all.
I'm family. I'm just putting it out there. You
Yeah,
don't need to be a head coach whatsoever. If you're not going to stand on on your own tool about the people that you bring in. You brought in Art Browse to fix the offense. You brought in Art Browse to groom your QBs. You brought him in because this man has a brilliant offensive mind, and he was a college head football coach. And you know what I'm saying? All
oh
together,
yeah.
you can learn from this man right here.
He was top 5 at one time on the Division 1 level
Right.
because Baylor was stumping people, man.
And not only when he was at Baylor, when he was at University of Houston too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Let's go. This is like you said, I had no idea. And like I said, I saw some people from Grambling since the interview, and they didn't know anything about it. They didn't. When I was high school coaching,
Mm-hmm.
especially when I would, because my preference at that time was Tennessee State. Coach Joe Gilliam Sr.
Right.
He was always my number one choice at one time. First thing he would ask me was about offensive linemen. That's the first, it was like, what have you seen? And I would always start off with offensive lineman. You get an offensive lineman that's 6'7", 6'8", 300 some pounds, and you put him off. That don't make no sense. That don't make no sense. As bad as we need linemen in HBCU football,
Mm-hmm.
that size, and you talking about you cut him. But I talked to some people. They was
so,
astounded, and then they were upset.
so you say you talked to the people. Did they watch the? Did they
It's
watch
just
the
I've
interview?
asked several people that they know it, and they said no. Because like I did when I heard that Noah was at Southern, I said, well, probably he wanted to go down there with Dooley because Dooley's system fit him. I had no idea he'd been cut. How can you cut him? Listen, when I was growing up, the only sport that people got cut in was basketball.
Right.
You were not cut in football. That's why I played on teams in high school that had 70. One year we had 70. Another year we had 100. They didn't cut you. You quit. Okay? Now, basketball was different. They always said they wanted 12 kids.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd have a lot of kids to try, but they would pick 12. Okay? Baseball, they would have. Now, they did cut a little bit in baseball. They did. But most of the brothers at that time, they weren't going to let them play baseball anyway. So we didn't worry about it. We went in South Georgia. They were going to let one black kid play on the baseball team. But football, you didn't cut nobody.
Right.
They quit, but you didn't cut them.
And if he didn't want, and if Noah didn't want to leave Grambling,
Yeah, I mean, listen, like I said, that kind of floored me when he said that. That kind of floored me. But like I say now, I always tell you this, Doc.
Yes, sir.
Jackson State people, Southern people, Florida A&M people, North Carolina A&T people, Grambling people are impatient people. He better win this year, and he better win that Western Division.
Yeah, I know the feeling. It's just like being a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, you better win, baby, because listen. They don't want to hear no excuses. I'm telling you now.
Right.
They don't want that crew right there in the SWAC. They don't want to hear no excuses. They want them championships.
When you get spoiled, when you get to them chips.
Yeah, man.
It's like you don't know what to do. You don't know how to act.
Shoot. Them people you was calling out earlier, them people built monsters. That Billy Nix and that guy you said, Arnett Mumford, Alonzo J. Gaither, they built a monster, and those monsters feed off of championships. And they don't want to hear no excuses at them schools. Jackson them don't want to hear no excuses. They want championships.
Right, man. That another person who don't get credit to, as far as for coaching, Dr. Henry Frazier.
Oh yeah, Frazier's a good coach. Yeah. No, Frazier was at Prairie View, North Carolina Central, Bowie State. Yeah. Yeah.
He's at
Where's
Virginia
Frazier?
State, right?
He's at where's he at? Virginia State now?
Yeah, Virginia State.
Yeah, Frazier's a good coach. Matter of fact, that's who TC and them took over from him. Jerry Mack took Frazier had a little problem at Central, and that's when Jerry Mack came in. And Jerry Mack brought in TC Taylor as his offense coordinator.
Mm.
Yeah. Now Mack is now at University of Tennessee.
Right. Just with Henry Frazier just trying to get the team back from the doldrums of 0-80.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And you
Yeah.
2009 you win not only the SWAC title,
Yeah.
but you win the Black National. I think didn't they won the Black National title that year too? Or was it somebody else?
I'll have to go back and look. Now, didn't he coached KJ, right?
Coach KJ Black, Donald
Yeah.
Babies.
That's right. Yeah.
So he had some players on that team where
Oh yeah. Yeah. Doc, you like you say, he was a good man. Frazier was a good guy.
mm-hmm.
Let me see. No, I've said, did I get a chance to meet him? No, I didn't get a chance to meet him. But he's a good guy. I know some people that know him. Yeah.
Another coach for Prairie View that does not get credit, but did help them when they brought back scholarships with Hensley Serpenter.
You got me on him now, Doc. Tell me about him.
Well, he came in as Prairie View's coach, and I think he guided them to where when they brought back the scholarships.
Right.
Remember, Prairie View wasn't on scholarship for a minute.
Yeah, that's right. I remember. Late 80s until the 90s when I thought it was Frazier that got the scholarships.
It was Serpenter that I think Serpenter got the scholarships back in.
Was Heisman normal? Was he before Frazier after?
He was before.
Okay, yeah, I remember him too. Because he's a Southern guy. Yeah, I think he's a Southern guy. He was a Southern ball player. He played for Southern.
Yeah, and then, of course, I mean, I say this because even though the man went 0-22 at Prairie View, the years he was at Prairie View,
right,
he got them back into where they can, you know what I'm saying? Hold on. Let me scratch that. He didn't get that. I forgot it was somebody else.
Okay.
Serpenter was suspended with pay and then fired for following an investigation that he was using ineligible players.
Okay. I have to do my research. I never heard his name before, Doc.
Yeah.
You done introduced me to somebody.
Yeah, 95 and 96. Yeah, he was
okay.
Yeah.
I have to look him up. Now Haney Catchings was out there at one time, wasn't it?
Haney Catchings. They had so many. Those years they had so many coaches.
Right.
Prairie View had so many coaches. It's just crazy because it's like every year or every other year that they was replacing the coach. It's like every other year they was replacing the coach. But yeah. Haney Catchings. Yeah, he was there.
Haney was quarterback at Alcorn back in the 60s. He played for Coach Castle.
Yeah, he was there. He was head coach from 87 to 89. So that was when they would get ready to start on their downfall.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because Haney was offense coordinator for Hamp Smith at Albany State for some years, too. I think he was there in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Coach Haney Catchings.
Let's see, Ronald Beard. Ronald Beard was he had majority. Ronald Beard had majority of those losses. I mean, it went 0-44.
I didn't know him either. Now, what? Tell me about him.
Came from Eastern Michigan. He was at
Okay.
Eastern Michigan,
Okay.
and he took a job at Central State.
Okay.
So he was the assistant coach and defensive coordinator of the school for the football team. So basically, he was there with Billy Joe.
Okay.
Um, then he went to North Carolina A&T from 78 to 83.
Okay.
And then from 84 to 1990, he was the assistant at Prairie View. So he was during that time when they was still, I want to say relevant, but they was kind of winning a little bit, but it started to tail off.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
from 91 to 94, he was the head coach. Yeah.
Okay.
The man lost 44 games.
Whoa.
Let's see. This is what happened. People don't understand what happened. Reason why Prairie View lost so many games at that time. It says spring of 1990, Prairie View suspended all the athletic programs except the track and field after it discovered the athletic department was $3 million in debt, in part due to expense report fraud by Beard's then boss Haney Catchings.
Yeah, I remember that article being in Jet magazine.
Due to support from faculty, staff, and students at the school, however, the program was revived. Beard was named the head coach of the school's resurrected football team after Prairie View's first choice, Luther Booker, accepted the job and resigned in February 1991 before playing a single game. So, the man went 4 years without winning a single game.
Right.
Prairie View was the only school in the Southwest in the SWAC not to award football scholarships, largely because a request for donation from alumni only got 150 responses out of 30,000 letters sent. So the practice uniforms were hand-me-downs from the Oilers. The game uniforms were either only washed in water or never washed at all, depending on the source. Many of the players had come to Prairie View after failing physicals at other schools.
Right.
Team morale was so low that at one point late in Beard's tenure, only 6 players on the 70-man squad usually showed up for practice. As well, Beard and assistants had other non-football duties. Beard taught 28 hours a week and also coached the golf team. So he post-mortem interview with Sports Illustrated. Beard claimed that the circumstances he faced made him impossible for him to field a competitive team. He claimed that the handicaps he faced were so severe that he was forced to field what amounted to an intramural or club football team at the Division I AA level.
Right.
That mean that the football team should have never came back until it was financially stable.
That one was General Beckton the president at Prairie View at one time. Do you remember General Beckton?
My aunt probably know about that. I have to ask her.
I think they set up the dude. They can do you know what? My biggest question mark with Prairie View presently is that what's your homeboy name? That quarterback. What's his name?
Trayvon Conley.
He got that game manager in him. He don't strike me as no big time SWAC quarterback.
Yeah, Rashawn McKay didn't strike anybody as a SWAC
quarterback. Oh, boy, I thought he was awful. Listen, he held back a great team. He was the missing piece. The missing piece of that team was a quarterback. They didn't have a quarterback. Because the only thing he did to me was hand it off and dink and dunk. I thought he was terrible, man. I really did. I thought he was terrible. I thought he held back a great team too.
Yeah. But man, that was just just reading all that right there. That's the reason why, if you don't know anything about Prairie View football around that time from 1989 to 1998, it
I
was
just remember that they would always say that they had the highest GPA in the NCAA because a bunch of the kids on there were engineering majors, and their GPAs were very, very high. Team GPA was super high.
Yep. That was, but that's crazy though. But that's crazy, man. But I thank everybody for coming on, Mr. Ford. I had to get your numbers that way. I gotta call you so we could talk about some stuff down the pipeline.
Okay.
She been telling me to get your number.
Okay. All right.
And yeah, anybody who has not checked out HBCU Game Day, the article on hbcugameday.com, go check it out. Like I said, it's a good piece that Stephen J. Gaither just wrote on there.
Right. You know the article I want him to write, right? When you talk to him, tell him I want him to write an article on the plus and the negative of the Meac and the SWAC combining. Tell him that's the article I want him to write.
I'll actually talk to him tonight.
Yeah, you tell him I want that article ready. Because I think we wasting time by not combining them leagues. I think it's going to be a big regret of ours in the next 5 or 10 years. We're going to say we should have combined the SWAC and the Meac. Tell him to write about that, the plus and the negatives.
I got you. I'm gonna hit him up.
Okay, you do that now. Listen, when you coming back?
Tomorrow.
Okay, what, same time?
Yeah, 7 o'clock.
Okay.
I'm gonna have Jacoby and Morgan, the transfer from Syracuse.
Oh yeah, that's the kid. Now is he from Jackson or outside of Jackson?
He's from outside of Jackson.
That was a big man. That's a big get right there, man. That was a biggie right there.
Oh no, Blue just sent me something.
What Blue say? What's
Blue
up, Blue?
On Twitter. He said, this is from Coach Willie Simmons. He said, with so many guys leaving Jackson State via the portal, I'm sure you don't truly grasp the significance of an All-American defensive lineman spurning FBS and P5 offers to return to your school. Are we talking about Cornish Miller?
Or is he talking about the big defensive end? You're not talking about the kid from Missouri, right? That's going to Missouri.
Are you talking about Niles Gaddy?
Yeah, he's talking about Niles Gaddy?
I don't know. He said, did somebody put on there, you do realize that not everyone left JSU. Some did, some didn't. That's expected when you have a coaching change for any team. Yeah. Meanwhile, interest in the starters that's still there and the clips of what they did on the field down in good old Miami.
And then the other thing that was interesting to me was that he picked Fam to beat Jackson, right? In the Miami game. Didn't the quarterback?
Jeremy Musa?
No. The young man you had on Monday night.
Bruce G.
Bruce picked. You remember he picked Fam to win. Yeah, he said that prime is gone.
He said the mystique is gone.
Yeah, he said prime is gone, and he was picking Fam. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was real interesting. Now, I want to see it.
Somebody just the article about Bruce Eugene talking about, I give credit to Coach Jackson for not hiring Eugene to be a part of his staff. Eugene sounds bitter. Hugh is doing it his way. Wish him good fortune this season. I can't say that because I still say that man need to be in the SWAC.
Yeah, I'd like to see him in the SWAC too. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Dooley probably hires him. I wouldn't, if Dooley could get a position for him. I think Dooley would hire him. I think Dooley would hire him.
That other tweet, Blue said he honestly think Willie knows it's a do or die year for them. He was tired of all those comments. It's been a do or die year for Willie for the last 4 years. You've been going 9-2 for 4 years straight.
And he's only lost 2 games in the SWAC the last 2 years, right?
Last 2 years.
So he's 18-2 or something, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
One thing about it, I know he ain't going nowhere because Fam knows about getting rid of good coaches.
Nah, he ain't going nowhere.
He ain't going nowhere.
That'd be crazy if they let that man go.
That's what I'm saying, because that's how I felt about them letting Billy Joe go. They crazy.
They'd be crazy about letting them go.
Yeah.
He ain't getting fired, but he gonna be on his tail though.
Oh yeah. Now listen. FAMU, you know how they are now. They feed off championships. Them people at FAMU will tell you in a minute, 9-2 ain't good enough. It's a lot of them feel that way. They ain't accepting no 9-2. They want their celebration bowl.
Well,
that's what they want.
Well, they gotta get past their first game.
Yeah, they got to get past that first game, boy. I tell you.
But yeah, we're gonna be back on here tomorrow night at 7 o'clock.
Okay. Listen, have a good night. Enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll be there tomorrow night.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Man, it was good. We had this conversation about all-time HBCU football coaches. Of course, the article from Stephen J. Gaither on HBCU Game Day, and just a lot of things going on. Like I said, shout out to the FAMU Rattlers baseball team for winning the SWAC yesterday. This past weekend. And I gave Melvin Spears and Henry Frazier love, man. I gave them love. I had to give them some love, man, because if it weren't for them, then Henry Frazier, trying to bringing winning football back to Prairie View, I had to give him some love. But make sure y'all tune in tomorrow. I'll be on with Jacoby and Morgan. Transfer Syracuse, that's at Jackson State right now. Be very interested for that interview right there, and be back on Saturday night with HBCU Saturday night with Doc and Sheila's D. This has been an HBCU. This has been an HBCU tonight in correlation with HBCU Overdrive, where all HBCUs matter. Make sure that you like the stream. Make sure that you comment, share, and most of all, subscribe to the channel. We have 2 tiers if you want the exclusive Overdrive Blue and Overdrive Purple. I keep saying Overdrive. My mouth going fast. But until then, make sure y'all go over and tune in to KC 1400 right now. So I'll go watch this Jackson State this, Jackson State that video, brought to you by none other than ASVP Visuals. But until then, we'll be back tomorrow night. Like I said, I am out of here. Remember, y'all be blessed, y'all stay safe, and y'all stay dangerous. Peace.